Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am so excited. It's Wednesday, and you know what time it is? It's time for They Say. I am so excited to have Lady P, aka Patricia Anderson, here today. So let me get into what I normally get into. So my name is Allison McFarland, founder and CEO of Allison McFarland Inc., also known as AMI, which I love and adore. And I thank you guys for supporting me through my journey through They Say. It is my pleasure and my honor to have Lady P here with me today. Her and I are going to have a dynamic conversation about taking up space. With me founding AMI, the biggest thing for me when I started AMI was just to create a space for individuals to come and share their story. Where it comes from either entrepreneurship, where it comes either from coming out of that corporate space back in start coming out of that corporate space to coming into the entrepreneurship space. This is what They Say is all about. It's a platform where we defy the odds, we take chances, we take risk, and most importantly, we go big. So I'm excited to have her here. I thank her for saying yes. I had to make an adjustment because my original guest was sick, so he'll be back. He's going to take her spot at the end of the month. Yeah. But I'm just honored to have her here and just dive into this conversation. So, Miss Anderson, after you, my dear, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, hello, and happy blessed Wednesday. It is a blessed Wednesday. I am Patricia Anderson, aka Lady P, aka the Freedom Coach, aka the CEO of Lady P and Associates, aka an author, aka an international speaker, aka event manager.
Yes,
that's me.
And most importantly, she's a grandma, and most importantly, she's someone that we can glean wisdom from. So I'm so honored to have her here. She's got over, what is it? I say about 25 years or more of experience in that procurement space, which is such a unique space. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with her tonight. Just getting her wisdom, her understanding her career throughout the years, and then really discussing her pivot into entrepreneurship. That has been kind of the stance that They Say has taken, just to spend some time with people that are really doing it. And it's great because she's just starting. So we get to hear about her journey of stepping out on faith into full-time entrepreneurship. So she's been an event planner, she's been an event coach, she's been a coach in general for many years, but now she's in that entrepreneur space. So this is just a fun conversation. So Lady P, let's start with your background. I really want to just dig into that immediately because I feel like that's where the real meat and potatoes, it really starts our journey. So tell us a little bit about your background and where you came from.
Well, I am originally from Washington, D.C. I reside in Houston, Texas now. So my background, when I first began in corporate America over 38 years ago, I was in building management. So that didn't last but 2 or 3 years, and then I went into supply chain, which was known back then as procurement.
Yes.
Then and it's still known as procurement in different industries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've gone from oil and gas spill to Blue Cross and Blue Shield healthcare supply chain, which encompasses just different things in different situations. So I've been a project manager. I have been a project manager within healthcare for over 18 years. So working on process flows, being in spaces where women normally weren't, not always being around my male counterparts.
Yep.
And having to know more or just what they knew, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So let's dig into that more, because me coming out of that finance background, I can honestly say there are rooms where I can often be the only female at the table, or the not just female, but the only Black female. So let's kind of talk through that a little bit more. So you said you came into a space where for over 18 years where you were the only female. So what did that look like?
Well, for me, it looked like, I had to gain respect.
Yeah.
And so the way that you do that for me, it was to be able to listen, to be able to ask questions, network. And I'm talking about asking questions to other people that I could trust it to not make me look like I didn't know what I was talking about, but also not to make me look like I knew everything. I don't have the answer to everything, So for me, it just looked like, hey, I was a fish in out of water at first until I got my sea legs. But they would have never known that.
So so you said you were a fish out of water until you got your sea legs. So how long did it take you to get your sea legs, and what processes did you go through to get your sea legs?
Listen, I had to learn the language,
Okay.
because there are different languages for supply chain in different industries and depending on what you're working on. So I worked very closely with the construction team. I knew some guys that, really respected me, and I would code to them and ask them questions. And why do you do this? And, what does that look like? Okay, can you show me on this blueprint, what we're looking at? And so just learning, being open to learn, that was my whole thing. And so when I stepped into those rooms and we're talking about the electricity part of the building and what are the permits and everything needed for that, and what was supply chain part as far as contracting, making sure we're using the right contracting vendors, making sure we get the right pricing, making sure we have the right people on board to do what they need to do, in the right companies, being able to vet them, being able to come up with purchase buys,
Right.
so that we would have group buys. And so being able to talk to the national team as well as talking to the local team. And so that looked very different for me, because in supply chain in healthcare, you could be doing different projects. Like you could be doing anything from redoing a supply closet.
Okay.
Everybody might think that's simple, but it's not. So we're taking out the rolling racks and we're putting up bins. So I got to get with the vendor that says, okay, these are the measurements, these are the panels that you need, this is how many bins you do. So just being able to navigate in that space and being the only female sometimes was very difficult, and being the only Black person. But knowing my information, researching it, and knowing what I'm doing, and really walking, to me, I was on site, I was on hands. I like to go into the area to get the visual, because I'm very visual. So
Right.
being on site, being on hand, being in those rooms, being in the meetings, making sure I just was downloading information. I was like a sponge.
Well, yeah. So 18 years. So you've seen a lot. And something that
Yes.
I want to touch on that you said, how was it? You said you're oftentimes the only woman and Black woman in those rooms. So I would consider you like a forerunner, a trailblazer. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell us more about that, especially being a woman and a Black woman in rooms that is a predominantly male and white male oriented industry.
Yes, definitely predominantly white and male oriented throughout my whole career. And so what that looked like for me, that I had to look a certain way.
Yeah.
I had to present myself a certain way. I always wore the suits.
Yep.
I always, had what I needed to do to look professional, not the short skirts or the tight pants, none of that,
Right.
but to be able to look in professionals, because a lot of the individuals I was talking to, speaking with, giving reports to, presenting to, were the VPs of the departments, the CEO, the CFO, the CNO. So I had to form relationships with all of these people within the different hospitals and also within the system.
So you touched on something really interesting. So you had to form relationships, but you also had to be strategic about how you presented yourself.
Yes.
So that they would not just automatically assume or feel like you were unprepared, or feel like they would judge you essentially off of what you had on.
Absolutely.
Let's go deeper into that. I want to go deeper into that particular subject.
Okay.
When we say that, let's talk about the unconscious bias that does happen with being a minority, and not just a minority, a woman in a room in a predominantly male industry. So how was that? Like, what?
Sometimes comments were made,
right,
that were that are considered either racial,
yeah,
or against not just a race, but against your femininity, being a female. Some things were said. Things would be said in the room that you could have taken to your HR rep and said, hey, I'm in a hostile environment. They're saying these things. But I knew where I was, and I knew how things got done. And I knew that I was the person after the meeting having the sidebar conversations with the individual males.
Okay.
And so forming those relationships, but just, gaining that respect. So a lot of times I had to dummy down. A lot of times I had to just be quiet, and just let them say certain things. Sometimes it was great if there was a woman that came in the room from another company or whatever. We might look at each other a little sideways, like, well, okay, watch what you're saying, because it could be considered sexual harassment. And, and sexual harassment has a wide range of things. Not that they were hitting on me, not that they had said anything, not that I hadn't gotten hit on before, of course, but I'm saying, but the majority of the time it was strictly business, and it was strictly the construction talk, the supply chain talk, the nitty gritty, cuss words were being said, things were being thrown around, but it was out of the frustration because we know how the process is supposed to work, and it wasn't working this way, and a lot of politics are involved. And so they could feel free in that room. And I wanted always that room to be a safe space.
Yes.
But I couldn't say those things.
No, you can't. You can't. And that's a true statement. But what I appreciate is you said you wanted the room to be a safe space.
Yes.
Wow. I think of how often we don't value safety in spaces. So tell me why you wanted the room to be a safe space. Why was that so important to you?
Because then I could gain the confidence of my leadership, my VP, that I communicated directly with, who I reported directly with. So I could gain that communication so that, we could actually talk about things like, from a supply chain perspective of how we actually felt, but we know we got to do X, Y, Z, why has this been going on? It's time to stop. We uncover a rock everywhere we go. And so it's like, okay, we got to choose our battles. Which battle are we going to fight? Are we going to fight the battle of, buying this machine for this much from this company, or staying on contract? What is going to benefit patient care first, and then operations second? And so that was always the supply chain. And a lot of people don't know that. We think about patient care first and then operations second. Of course, gotta make that money. And so we are a service. We are service to the industry. So you are our clients as our departments and stuff. So we don't bring in any money. We help save money. So sometimes you have to do certain things, especially in surgery, that the doctors want. Have to get certain things they want, and it may not be a cost savings or cost avoidance.
So you're essentially telling me that in procurement, it's important to look at cost savings as you're in that supply chain. Is it because it affects the bottom line, or why is it important? Why was cost so important?
It affects the bottom line. I'm going to tell you what one CEO told me years ago. He said, when you think about how much money we can save per monitor, per unit, per supply room, that's how many jobs you can save. So, when you think about the savings and the cost of avoidance, you think about how many people can stay employed. And so, because it does affect the bottom line. And who are the first workers they get rid of? They get rid of your administrative staff. They get rid of your supply chain teams that are not on-site hands, day-to-day operations. So you have to think about that. What value are you bringing? So you have to have, the contract managers, you have to have the nursing managers that are working closely with us, because we want to work as a team. We don't want to work against anybody. And that's in any industry.
Right.
To make sure whatever department that you are supporting, you are their support. You are servicing them. They are actually your clients, even though they're your coworkers. They're your clients. And it affects you whether, whatever they don't have. If a doctor doesn't have something in surgery, just imagine if that's your family member, and it affects that outcome of that surgery. So those things were always important and on the front for us as supply chain, and especially for me, because I was able, when I first went into supply chain and healthcare, I came in as a data analyst. So they made me go into the surgeries to see how they calculated, each item that was being billed, each item that was being used, how they unpacked it, if you have this versus this piece, what's the difference? I've been in surgeries where they have already operating. I've been called in surgery rooms before. So I got to see, when I say hands-on, I'm talking hands-on. So I got to see it from a different perspective. I wasn't just someone sitting behind a computer going to meetings, although I did do that a lot.
Right.
It wasn't the only thing. I had to understand from the ground up, from the person on the loading dock, from the receiving part of it, to how it's the routing and how it's getting to the department, what it looks like in the system, what it looks like on the vendor. So I had to form relationships with everybody.
So something that you said, and I want to bring up Felix's comment. He said cost advantage or cost avoidance and employee retention. He said that's a true statement, which is true. But something that you said that I think speaks to your brand as Patricia Anderson is there some key points that I can pull out. You pulled out the importance of relationships. And what I heard from what you said regarding relationships is from the lowest to the highest, you maintain relationships on all level because you understand the value of the people.
Yes.
So that's what I took from what you said. And as someone that gleans wisdom from you, I just want you to kind of dig deeper in that, because I often feel like I struggle because I feel like people feel like everyone is replaceable, but I am of the notion that not all relationships can be replaced. There are some people you cannot replace. So I want you to go deeper in that particular statement for me.
Well, I hadn't met anyone within my department. And like I said, it goes from the loading dock to the person that's putting up the stocks, from the person that's placing the orders, from the person that's doing the contract, from the clinical managers, from that whole aspect. I have not met anybody that did not have a use. It's like your body.
Right.
Your hand, you need your hand, you need your foot. We have to operate that way when we're talking about department. And so when you talk about supply chain, there's so many inner departments within it.
Right.
And so, so when you look at all of that, everybody's important. So for me, I know that, even at different hospitals, I walk in, I'm talking to everybody right. From the loading dock, they know Miss Patricia, they know, and so it was just a joy from the reception I would get from them, because I always talked about them. And if they told me anything personal, I would remember that. They told me they had a child or whatever. Hey, how's your wife doing? Give them a word of encouragement. Encourage them. You're doing a great job. Not as saying that they not, especially if they did something that was awesome. I have I had some employees that I know that when I was doing operations temporarily on site, filling in until they got an operations manager for different sites. The employees, I would always, tell them how awesome and amazing they are and how they make the job easy. But not only that, I would get in the trenches with them. I have broken down pallets before. Yes, me. I done put on scrubs. I done went in surgery. I done did stock supply closets.
Yeah.
I done placed orders. I done done it all. Now, did I do it as well as they could? Probably not, because that wasn't my normal day-to-day job.
Right.
But I would do the crash cards. I would, whatever it took. Yes. To make sure that something was done. I was the one that's going to help you. If you need help, raise your hand. Miss Patricia coming.
So that's awesome. And again, here we go. This also speaks to your leadership. When you can get a leader that will get in the trenches for you, that is the ultimate, not for you, but just with you. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate buy-in. Yeah. I've only experienced a handful of leaders in my small corporate career, my 20 plus year corporate career. And those leaders that really got into the trenches, it made you want to work harder for them, because you understood that there was no difference between you and them, that they were willing to pull up beside you, get the work done, and figure out what it took to be successful. And when and not just what it took to be successful, but they genuinely wanted to see you win.
Yes.
Even and by winning, that meant partnering and just getting down there. So I commend you for being willing to get into the trenches, because a lot of leaders don't do that. They feel like once they've reached a certain level, they have arrived. So how did you, as an executive leader, how did you maintain your humbleness after you are just like the top of procurement? You're the highest of the highs. How did you stay humble and grounded?
Well, of course, I wasn't the highest of the high, but I reported to the highest of the high. And
Right.
so for me to stay grounded is I had to understand the operations of how the facility worked. And I had to know the part that I played and the part that the employees also played within it. And so for me, it's like learning, I could learn from each and every person.
Right.
Hey, tell me about this. Okay, how do you do this? Do you have a better suggestion for this? What would you do differently? Anything that you could tell me to help to do that. And so I would always they own what they did. And
Right.
so I make them the owners of what they did. And so, hey, can you teach me? Can you show me? Because that's going to give me a better understanding of how long it takes, because we projects, you on timelines.
Yep.
So, can we realistically do this, in this amount of time? How many people is it going to take? And what am I requiring from my team? Is my team going to need overtime? Is my team going to have a certain amount of people work on this? Because they still got their day-to-day things to do. So for me, it was just getting in there, learning what it took. And so when I'm able to report at project meetings and they're saying, okay, how long is it going to take supply chain after we turn over the ORs and it's been terminally cleaned and all of that to do the supply closets? Okay, how long is it going to take for y'all to supply it? That means we got to get the racks in there. We got to get the product order. We got to set up the bins. We got to put the labels. We got to get it in the system. We got to print the labels out. We got to make sure that we got nursing sign off and like items with like items. That's a process.
No, it is.
And that's something that the people that are normally setting up for other stuff, they're going to have to stop and help do that. So how long, what do you need? And so my thing was always 6 weeks. We need 6 weeks to complete, to make sure that we have everything on site for surgeries, for whatever is needed in that closet, to give them that space and that free time. Because I've opened up several different hospitals under supply chain as the project manager. So
that's awesome. So you said you always drop so many nuggets that I'm like, okay, let me pull from that one. Let me pull from that one. So we spoke of your leadership and your continued leadership and just the different roles you played, and then the importance of just that connection, really connecting with people beyond their job, but actually getting to know them as an individual. Because you and I both agree, it puts them in a position to want to perform higher, better. They want to give you their all. It's like being on stage. They want to get on stage and just leave it all on stage because they know their leader is behind them, and their leader will roll up their sleeves and go to war with them.
Yes.
So those leaders are rare. Those are rare. So with you being in corporate for as long as you've been, for 30 plus years, how many leaders can you honestly say that I want to do this. How did you develop your leadership style? How did you know what you wanted and what you didn't want from the leadership that you've experienced?
Well, I know that what I didn't want is to be a dictator.
Okay.
Didn't want to give them an assignment and you complete it and that's it. So okay. I knew that that's not what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to make people feel valued because I didn't feel valued. Make them feel that they're valuable, that they're needing, how important they are with this. And I know people say people are replaceable and all that. Yes, they're replaceable, but you don't know what you're going to get when that person leaves.
That part.
And then it's starting all over again. And then it's also, with the just encouraging and inspiring them to know that they're doing a great job, even when they just starting, just the learning period, the hands-on. And a lot of times I found out I was pushed into positions without any training.
Ooh.
So, yes.
Much there.
So when you're pushed into positions with the lack of training, you have to find it on your own because you're expected to work at full speed, just like whoever else is in the same position as you. And so, just developing relationships with people who, asking questions. See, that's one thing I wasn't scared to do, is ask a question. So
Yep.
I'm not scared to ask a question to this day. And so I believe, asking questions, and there's no dumb answer. So
That's right.
whatever answer you get, whatever you do, you always want to research it. You want to do that. But guess what? You want to be proficient and efficient at your job. And so if you continue to do the same things over and over again, that you can do, because it's different. I'm telling you, at the hospital, supply chain day can be different, totally different on site. You could have this emergency come up, you have a cold blue, you got to do this, you got different things, different aspects. It's never the same day to day, but there are some aspects of it that's routine on site. There are some aspects of it, especially when you are in corporate, because I've always been a corporate employee. There's always some aspects that it's routine that you're doing those things, but then you have things to come in and throw a curveball.
Whew. So you said something that I want to touch back on, because you breezed past it. You said you always didn't feel valuable.
Yes.
So I want you to speak to individuals. Tell us more about that, but also speak to the authentic. Be as transparent as you want, but be transparent in that space, because I think many of us can relate to being at these jobs and not feeling valuable, but not knowing how to express that or give that a voice or even a name of what we're feeling. So can you kind of help us get there?
Well, hey, when I started working back in the 80s, I was called the N-word.
Right.
I'm from the era where you don't talk back, that you go in the bathroom, you cry your tears, you come back out and work. Wasn't no quitting no job, wasn't no leaving. It was you took whatever was being said to you and you cried your tears and you went back and you said, how can I make this better?
Right.
How can I do this better? Not to that person, but you're saying it to yourself.
Right.
And so that's what I said. That's one of the things, didn't feel value. A lot of times wasn't accepted in certain rooms, at certain seats with certain people. Because of their insecurities, not necessarily mine. So I didn't feel value because they didn't feel I was necessary to be in the room. And so, and I'm finding this out from somebody else who's telling me, well, you wasn't at the meeting today. Well, I didn't get an invite.
You didn't know about it, right?
Didn't know about it. So yes. Right.
No, but let's pause on that, because there's something that you said that was you went so fast. I think you breezed right past it too. That you weren't always invited in the room. And then people were shocked when you weren't in the room. But you said, how would I be in the room if I didn't know about it? So how did you deal with those times where others were invited places to do a job, right? You're expected to do this job effectively and do it at a high level, but there were rooms at times that you weren't necessarily invited to.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, on a personal thing, I can say I got angry.
Okay.
I was angry. And I never confronted who the meeting person was. They didn't know I was supposed to be in the meeting, but I also tried to get the information that I needed to successfully do my job because I wasn't in the meeting. And so maybe, say, okay, so then how that always got handled was somebody that was in the meeting say, okay, Patricia Anderson needs to be in this meeting.
Right. Right.
So I had heroes in the room.
Yes.
Get up for me because I developed those relationships with them. Do you understand what I mean? It was I developed that relationship and that trust. And so I have many of those heroes that I can pick up the phone and call today that, some are VPs and some are, project managers and so forth. And so they have just, like I said, I earned their respect and they earned my respect. So, but I can honestly say it made me feel angry. It made me feel like someone didn't want me to be successful. Does that make sense?
No, that definitely makes sense. And like I said, I can relate. And so that's why I wanted you to dive deeper in that, because I often feel like being, I would say, a double minority, right? So we're women and then we're African-American women.
Yes.
So it's a different dance.
It is.
It's a different dance daily. There are certain things, and I think Michelle Obama said it best. We're expected to show a lot more grace and perform at a much higher level, but also there's a lot we can't say.
That's correct.
Because you don't want to come across as an angry Black woman.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You
You don't
can't
want
even
to come across as that.
you can't even raise your voice. You can't even
No.
say like you say certain thing. You can't raise your voice, and even though you may be the person with the MBA, that was me, and they don't. I'm educated. I have my credentials. I know what I'm doing, but you weren't viewed as that
Yeah.
because if you speak up and you say something, it can be viewed as other things. And I'm telling you, a lot of times I've had to say, well, let me apologize to you in a very soft voice. But supply chain is here to do whatever it is you need us to do. Can we discuss this offline?
Yes.
So, and just building, those relationships. And then you have a lot of different nationalities that don't relate well to women.
Yes.
And so, even as a boss of someone, I had male employees that did not think I should have been the boss.
Of course.
So I'm a lay that down on the table. So not that they had the same credentials, not that they had the same experience, not that they had the same of anything, not that they were qualified, but to let them tell it they were qualified.
But what you just said is a real experience, where people feel. I was reading his comment. It was actually good. Regardless of the song, keep working on your craft and dance like no one is watching. So we love that, Felix.
Oh,
we love
yes.
that. And we definitely own that dance like no one is watching. I know that's why Patricia was so successful in all her years in procurement, because she really was a forerunner. You started something and helped grow something. Gosh, when we talked the other day, you did almost multi-million-dollar budgets?
Oh yeah, projects, yes.
Yeah.
Building hospitals, yes. Definitely 2 to 3 year projects, multi-billion, some $1 billion projects. So just it is especially hard when you know what you're capable of, and sometimes you have to be silent and step aside, even when you see things are not done the right way. And sometimes, you can voice your opinion to certain people, but sometimes you have to let it play out the way it's playing out.
So, as someone who is I would say, very gracious and very mature in the corporate space, something that I know that you have mentioned to me and some of the other young ladies that I know that is just the importance of letting things play out, and not because we're from that generation. I don't want to say we're a little rah-rah, but we're kind of like, okay, this is taking too long. Let's figure it out. But you have really kind of helped us understand the importance of allowing time and patience.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me more about the importance of letting things play out, especially now, because there's so much going on, so much opportunity. So how did you know when to strike?
Well, different, you have to pick your battles. You choose your battles, and it depends on what that looked like. I had, departmental projects with certain departments that were very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
But I developed a relationship with those people within the department, even though they may not agree with what supply chain wanted to do. I still have a relationship with them. So I was able to talk to them, say, hey, we're on your side. This is what, is coming down, and this is what we feel we need to do. Understand, letting them listen and letting them talk. For one thing, letting them be heard, whether it was going to change or not, didn't mean it was going to. Allowing people to be heard, because sometimes people, all they need to do is be heard.
Yes.
And we know the majority rules, not that the majority is supposed to be for the greater good of the people, not just a section of people. Right. And so sometimes it looks good and sometimes it doesn't. So you have to take the good with the bad, and you have to know when to speak, when not to speak. Look, I had my strategy coach told me, eat the meat and throw away the bones.
Ooh,
And that has stuck with me for the past 7 years.
Okay, so break that down for us that struggle with that, like Allison. My name is Allison, and I struggle with.
Hey, you take the meat off of what works for you. Take it off.
Yeah.
Everything else, you throw that out.
Right.
You just eat the meat. Throw away the bones. You ain't gotta be nibbling on that bone and carrying that with you. You have to remember that it's a team effort, and you're a part of that team. And so, if you have voiced your opinion and that you were the only one in the room and they allowed you to be heard, when they don't allow you to be heard, no, this is the way we're gonna do this. This is just the way we're gonna do this, and it's okay. But you still can write down your strategic goals for what you think needs to be done. You document that, and then when they come back, and if it works, we want everything to work. We don't never want anybody to fail. But if it doesn't work, hey, this is my idea, this is my plan. I done wrote it down. I had to learn to do that.
Okay, so Brandon said you're preaching tonight. And
Brandon, you just don't know.
Hey, she hasn't even kicked it into her second win. I'm treading lightly because I know the higher we go, it's going to be over.
This is a business. This is a business, but it's Christian based. Yes. It's a life's journey, and you can't have marketplace without ministry.
Okay.
Your business is ministry.
Yes. And our business is people.
It's people, because that's who you minister to.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you are the only Bible they're gonna read.
Yes.
You're the only person that's gonna show love that they need and encouragement that they need. And that has lasted with me so long, because as I say, in the 80s, that's not how I was treated.
Right.
I wasn't treated that way, especially in male rooms, especially when they were able to say the N-word and cuss and smoke and do everything at the table. And so, coming from that era, and if I had patience with that and we wanted to do a great job, what's changed? I still want to give quality work. My name is on the line. When your name on the line, woo, my name is on the line. So that's your reputation. You are your brand.
Come on. I hear the Lord.
You're your brand. So when your name is on the line, you want to have that reputation of being able to listen, not being able to overtalk people, just to be able to relate to what they're saying. And it's okay if you agree to disagree. Don't be disrespectful.
So, man, let's unpack that, because you went so fast. But I just want to unpack it. So Sharonda said that is so true. Sharonda, girl, we agree with you. It is so true. Lady P, she be on it. But you said, again, you keep hitting on my favorite things. The importance of a good name. Your name goes before you. That's what I tell people all the time, regardless of your role, regardless of where you work, regardless of what you do. What is your name, and how are you representing your name in the earth? I hang my hat on that, and I will die on that hill. Your name, that's all you got. That is a good name. Come on, Lady P, a good name.
A good name can go a long way, but people will try to ruin your reputation. But that's why you always have to be in the character of your authentic self, no matter where you go. So then you have those people that say, "Oh no, I know her. That ain't her character. That's not how she do it." And so when you have somebody like that, because I had a boss like that, was like somebody came and said I yelled and screamed and did all of this. They said, "Oh no, I know her. That's not even in her character." So that speaks, like I say, what are they saying about you when you're not in the room? That's what's important. So how are you showing up? You got to show up as your authentic self each time you show up. That means I got to be patient. That means I got to listen. That means I got to be willing to bend, to be versatile, to do the work. And I got to be willing to say, if it's not within my bandwidth, hey, I can't get this done in 6 weeks. It's okay. Let me tell you a timeline that I can get this done, unless you're going to give me support that I need. It's okay to say it's not within my bandwidth. I don't have a bandwidth for that. I've said that several times. Hey, you want me to get this done? That means weekends, this, that. I ain't able to do that. That ain't in my bandwidth.
You know what's funny? That is so corporate of you. And I appreciate you for that, because I don't know how many times I heard that's not in my bandwidth. And I'll be like, well, can we find another band that has a long bandwidth? Because I want this done. Felix said, again, build your brand, and it protects you from a bad reputation. You know what? That is such a true statement. I definitely think that's what she definitely just encouraged us to do. the importance of a good name, regardless of where you're at. Your brand, I feel like now with such a rise of social media platforms and just with LinkedIn, y'all know I love LinkedIn. Tamira says, you always be getting on me about my LinkedIn and how much I love LinkedIn, but I love LinkedIn because it opens you up to the world. You don't have to look as hard and far anymore for what you need. You just go on the internet. So why not use platforms like a LinkedIn to build out your professional and your professional your professional brand? I can honestly say being on LinkedIn has helped me get jobs because I'm consistent about who Allison is. And anybody that knows me personally, and you can attest to this, Lady P, I live for the community. My heart beats for the community. I want to see resources deployed to the community. I want to see access. I want to see people get more opportunities. So this is why I created They Say, because how often would we be able to sit down with somebody that was in procurement for over 20 plus years and have a conversation of how she navigated corporate America, especially as an African American female, in a time where you were not the first choice or somebody that we would see.
Yes.
So I think They Say is important because it's all about bringing perspectives. It's opening you up to a wider world of just different people that we would probably wouldn't know existed if we didn't have platforms like LinkedIn or these different streaming services or all these different kind of podcasts to just hear different voices. I think it's so important to have an opportunity to glean wisdom from many different places, especially those that come before us. I often feel like my generation and the generations to come, we feel like we don't need the ones that came before us. But I feel like there's power because why reinvent the wheel when I can just pick up the phone and call Miss Anderson and be like, hey, this is what I got going on. I'm trying to navigate this particular space. Can you help me understand what it is that I will need to do, who I need to know, and what's the best way to present this issue to my leadership?
Absolutely. I think that's great what you're saying because the era I come in from, especially being in supply chain, I'm grateful that I've lasted this long in an industry that's filled with men.
Right.
I was in supply chain at a rice company, and one of the things for the women in the company is no pants.
Wow.
And this was in the 90s, y'all.
Wow.
Women could not wear pants. And so I was throughout the whole company, not just in supply chain, there was only two blacks. One was in accounting and I was one in supply chain.
Wow.
And so, and so it was just us two. And so we had to definitely represent very well.
Yep.
We had to be well polished.
Yep.
With the nails, the hair. I couldn't wear color hair then.
Yeah. No, of course.
I wasn't going in there as blonde, but this is my authentic self, y'all.
Yes. I promise you that's her.
My authentic self. So I want to be authentic. So, I couldn't come in there just any kind of way. And I had to have heels on and all of that. And so just in the last 2 to 3 years, I stopped wearing heels. I can wear flats. I can wear flat boots. I can wear, but everything was heel. Just in the last probably 10 years, I started wearing pants. Y'all don't hear me. So I'm still evolving at my age of saying, I have to be true. It's okay that I do this, but I know in different arenas that I have to come and present myself a certain way.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to remember, you're not always at the table to talk. Sometimes you're there to learn, to listen. So just because you're at a specific table around some amazing people, sometimes you're not there to put in your input. Sometimes you're there just to glean from them. And so you have to be knowing what tables you are at because everybody's talking about tables, but I'm going to say ladders.
Okay.
So, sometimes there's somebody at the top of the ladder, depending on what it is. And you may be at the bottom, and sometimes you may be at the top, and they may be at the bottom. And so what we do for the people that's at the bottom, we pull them up.
Yep.
We don't crush them. And so when we learn to work together and know that it's enough of the pie, like they say, for everybody, it's over 8 billion people in this world.
Yes, ma'am.
It's enough for everybody. It's enough for everybody, and we have to stop competing with each other and start complimenting each other, and stop this jealousy. If we all talking about everybody want the same thing, but why we not getting together to do the same things? It just behooves me, and I'm talking from not just a business perspective. And I know, you got McDonald's, you got Burger King, you got Jack in the Box, you got Sun. They all making money,
Right?
mad money.
Right.
They all serve burgers.
Right. Right.
They all the same thing. But even though they're competitors, it's enough of it for everybody. So let's not try to crush each other. Try to be mentors to people. That's what we don't have enough of. We don't have enough people willing to give information to others. They want to hold it all to themselves, and they're going to die with it all to themselves. And so that way they're not willing to release and teach and train up, and they're not willing to learn from others because they think they got it all together. I haven't arrived yet. I'm just saying, I haven't arrived yet. I'm still on that journey.
Me either.
And so, I'm still on that journey. There's nobody I have met, from a 4-year-old little girl to a 99-year-old woman, that I can't learn something from.
No, and that's a true statement. So I appreciate your candor, saying being open to just be open. You never know who can give you some gems or some life lessons that can really help you get to that next level. And don't gatekeep. So that's my word that I'm going to use. Don't gatekeep. Freely share information. It comes back to you. Definitely. Yes. I am a huge proponent that the more you give out, the more you get back. Now I understand now Lady P and Associates is a whole conglomerate now. She's out here, the left corporate America. So tell us about your transition out of corporate America, because man, we've talked so much. We're almost at our time. So I want to make sure we hit on your business and your transition, because that was huge. I'm so excited for you.
Yes, it was a huge step for me. Lady P and Associates has been around for a while, but I could pick and choose what I want to do. Depending on what it was. So Lady P and Associates has just evolved into a project manager and event management company. And so one thing that I love to do is projects. So it's really working on projects. It's really doing events. I like to do more corporate events now than before. So I'm really, my niche is going to definitely, as I'm still growing, it's going to be corporate events, doing different types of corporate events and projects. That's what my focus will be. So the transition, I'm still transitioning. I've been networking.
Yes,
joined Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce. Yes, and so, joined the Houston Lady Lions Club.
Okay, go Lions.
And so, yes, go Lions, Houston Lions. And so, I've been networking. I've been meeting people that I would have never met before, being in rooms I would have never been in before. Enjoying the journey since September now. It's only been since September, but it seems like a long time for me. And so just rebuilding my brand as an event manager and a project manager. I learned about SCORE in one of my Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce networking events. And so I have a SCORE mentor who has been meeting with me, who looked over my business plan, my strategic plan, and met with him yesterday, and he was like, for this being your draft and your first time, he said you scored out of a 1 and a 10, you scored a 10. You have I was like, I scored a 10. I said, yeah. He's like, yes, but it was some things he wanted me to focus on and think about and so implement and put more details in that business plan. And so I'm just enjoying this journey called freedom. I look at being a CEO of my own company and doing something I learned as freedom for me. And so, like I said, it's been since September. I have the support of my family, my husband, and my family as I go through this journey of coming from making 6 figures to Okay, what you gonna do next? Where it's coming from, Lord? I'm gonna need you to move like
Yeah,
never before. So I'm just at that place, and I know that it's definitely for me. It's relationship building. It's becoming partners with like-minded people, with people that want to do business. What can I offer to your business to complement your business, and how can at the same time we make money?
Amen. Collaboration over competition.
Yes.
So Sharonda said that's true. I just said that this morning. I learn something new every day. We know you do, Sharonda. And you need to do too. And then Brandon again, loving the gyms being dropped tonight. So Brandon, we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Brandon.
Brandon is doing some amazing things out there in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
For these up and comers. And then Aaron said, another great episode, giving us the gems and showing us how to maneuver in these professional settings. So important, Aaron. And I definitely love the fact that you are supporting us.
Yes.
And then this, Dr. Dickinson, right? Was she in your class? But she said she loves SCORE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't in my class.
I think she might have been in mine. I can't remember.
She might have been in your class, but she wasn't in my class. But how you doing, doctor?
I think she was in mine. I'm like, well, she was in one of ours. But yeah, so you're saying you're maneuvering. So you've joined these organizations. You're looking. You've niched down on the type of client that you want. You got a SCORE mentor. So how is the journey been? So you said it's only been since September. So this is a fresh journey.
Yes.
Fresh journey. But it sounds like you hit the gate running. Like listen. It sounds like no breaks here. It sounds like all gas.
Yeah, it was. I had to break myself. So, okay. So what happened the first month? I already had things going on. I had my conference that was at the end of September the 30th. I left corporate America September the 8th, so I could concentrate on that. So I did. The first initial day when I realized that I was a business owner, is I got up, getting dressed, get ready to go to work, y'all. And so I looked at my husband, I started crying. I was like, I don't have no job to go to. And then he said, yeah, you're your own business owner, so you do have a job. So, and then so I was able to, just maneuver in that space by just, concentrating on my conference that I had, which implements ministry and business together. It's called Always Be a Lady Conference. It's at the last Saturday in September every year. And so that was a successful conference again.
Yes, you did amazing.
So I'm just, that was something that helped me to navigate that. And then after that, just really concentrating on my business plan, my strategic plan, and building relationships. I think even though it may look like it's a slow pace for me, it's the pace I need to be at, because, first couple of networking events I went to, got exchange cards or whatever. I ain't heard from them people. But guess what? They hadn't heard from me either.
That's right.
So it goes two ways. So that's what you have to remember. So the last one that I went to, it wasn't even a networking event. It was the Greater Houston Women Chamber of Commerce. It was ambassador meeting. And two ladies, they gave me their cards. So when I came back home that same day, I emailed them and told them more about me in the email, and they both have emailed me back. So, just making those connections. So learning how to network properly.
Yes.
Because I'm not at the hospital anymore. I'm not, a part of the hospital anymore. So, I'm not going to see these people anymore, because, you network, you say, okay, you'll see them at the next meeting, so you don't know when you're going to see the people again.
That's true. And then networking is an art, but the thing that you keep going back to is that building relationships. And the more you're out, the more strategic you are about what organizations you choose to align yourself with. You'll build those relationships. And upon building those relationships, when those young ladies or whoever is in a room, you'll be top of mind. So that's, you're networking really well when you don't have to look for opportunity finds you.
Okay, find me opportunity.
Yes, it will find you. So just keep doing what you're doing, because that's why it's important to have a good name, be visible, be patient, be consistent.
Yes.
And stay in your lane. So you didn't hear you didn't hear Patricia say that she told you what type of event planning she does, how long she's been doing it. She didn't say that she's out here scuba diving. She said she's staying in her corporate event planning space. Stay in your lane, because I can honestly tell you that everyone will want to pull you in every direction and tell you why what they have for you is just so great and you just need to sign up for it. But you've got to know what your lane is and don't move from that regardless of what opportunity is presented if it does not fit in your lane.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So as we come to a close, because you, girl, we flew through this interview. It was like talking to a woman of great wisdom. It goes so fast. It's just having a conversation. I want to ask you, what is your they say? So through your 30 plus years in corporate America, what is your they say? What did they say that you could not do that you did regardless?
I was told, they said that I would not go any further within the organization. And just so happens, I was able to actually become a supply chain project manager. And so that meant in the corporate, not in corporate. And that was years ago. I was told, if you don't have an MBA, you can't do this. You can't do that. Well, guess what? I know people without MBAs that are doing some awesome and some amazing things. I think they thought because of who I was, that, because I was a Black woman, that I needed that credential to even fit into that. But fortunately, even the job had, requirements for a project manager was an MBA. You had to have an MBA to even have that position anyway. So, of course, I gained that while working.
Okay.
Working and having children under the age of 18.
Yeah.
I was that mother, and so I gained that. And so they said I would never be able to write a book. They said, who wants to read your book? And so I have 3 of my books that are on Amazon. Yes. And then I have done 5 collaborations. 2 of them came out in the month of December. I received 2 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards from Joe Biden on this year in 2023.
Let's go.
The last one was December. And so the one thing I say, that they said that I wasn't never going to be anything. As a little child, that was planted in. That was a seed that was planted. You're never going to be anything. You're never going to do anything great. Growing up in the ghetto of Washington, D.C., you were told this by adults. You were told this by your teachers. And I'm talking about the 60s and the 70s, y'all. Okay.
Right.
So I was told that it was no encouragement about going to school, college, or anything like that for me. So they said I wasn't going to be anything. And so I say I'm a child of the Most High King.
Okay.
And that was enough for me. So what that meant is I could do anything that I wanted. I could dream, but I had to believe.
Yes.
Because she believed, she did.
Woo!
So they said, what they say, who are they? Who are they? Where are they? And what beneficial life? So when they say you can't do something, or they say they don't think this, or they say this is best for you, you have to remember who you are and who are they and what effect they have on your life and who are they to you. Because whether they're your spouse, whether they're your mother, your father, your brother, your daughter, your sister, whoever they are, they are not you.
Amen.
So you have to speak to yourself. You have to look in the mirror sometimes and say, hey, I'm wonderfully made. Look, I say this and they laugh at me sometimes. I say, oh, God looked at Patricia and said, oh, you are good when I made you. I say that on the prayer line. I get on the prayer line. It's an entrepreneur prayer line. So I get on the prayer line and they say, oh, they laugh. Lady P always said, when God made her, he said, that's good. Yeah. Everything he made, he said, is good. Men are the ones that destroy it. So you are good. You can do whatever you want to do, but you got to stay focused. And when it comes time, because you're going to have those times when things come in and it looks like a struggle and things are not working the way you want them to work out, don't give up.
Don't give up. Keep going.
As long as you wake up with your eyes wide open, you got another chance. Keep going. Grace for the day. Grace, grace, and more grace. Just like I want grace, I want to give grace.
Hey, wow.
I can do it. I can do it. I can do. I can. I will. I must. I have to. I know Eric Thomas says, "I can. I will."
Mm-hmm.
And I must. But I've added that I have to. I can. I will. I must. And I have to. I can. I will. I must. And I have to. There is not another option.
There is not another option.
There's not another option because the blueprint has been laid.
I feel like I don't know if I should go to like Jay-Z or Joel Osteen. I'm just like in the middle. I'm in the middle here.
Okay, all right. Listen, I'll sing that New York song,
No, but real quick, Felix said, tell us the name of your books.
Okay, the first book I wrote was Life Happens, Unbelievable Outcomes. It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble under Patricia Anderson. Then the second book is From Pain to Purpose, Broken Pieces.
Okay.
The third book is Always Be a Lady. It's a workbook, Learning to Love Me. It has affirmation scriptures in there and just things to help you on a daily journey.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, so if we want to stay in contact with you, how do we follow you? Tell us where you're at. Give us your handles.
Listen, I'm on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
As Patricia Anderson. I'm on Facebook as Patricia Anderson in Houston. I am on Instagram as the Freedom Coach, Lady P _ the Freedom Coach. You also can go to my website. It's www.ladypandassociates.com, and that's it's spelled out Lady P AND associates.com. So you can go there, and my information is on there. How you contact me, how you book me for appointments. I'm a Christian counselor. I'm a life coach. I wear many hats. I'm not even gonna say I wear many hats. I wear a lot of different shoes.
Okay, that's good. You stay in your lane, so you're in not multiple hats, but she wears multiple shoes. So we wear
multiple shoes.
We love it. We love it. Well, thank you, Lady P.
Thank you.
It has been my joy and my pleasure and my honor. If I could have picked anybody to be my third guest, it's the Trinity. So it had to be you, because only had to bring it all the way in. So I just thank you for saying yes. We have went over our time, which I'm okay. But I just thank you for saying yes. I thank you for your transparency. I thank you because we went from marketplace to ministry to marketplace. So just being able to go in and out, I think that's so important. And those nuggets that you drop, man, I felt like you were talking to me. I was like, give it to me, all of it. I want all of it. Nothing left behind. I'm about to go in my mirror right after this and go start giving myself some affirmations. See, Myron might tell me to sit down, but that's okay.
No, give yourself some affirmations. You got to do that. You got to talk. You got to encourage yourself.
Yeah, you do.
It's not always somebody there to push you and encourage. And sometimes it can be a lonely road. It can be lonely on this road called entrepreneurship. It can be lonely on this road called life. And so when you know who you know and you start encouraging people, because sometimes you need encouragement and you're encouraging others. And so that takes your focus off of you.
Amen. And on that note, guys, we say good night. So next week, they say we'll be back at its proper time. I had too much going on today, but I was determined. I came back with a determination. So I thank Lady P and all of you guys that did join us for just watching, and those that catch the replay. It is going to be back at 5 p.m., not 5:30, but 5 p.m. Brandon said, thank you. Brandon, thank you. Felix, thank you. Sharonda, thank you. Dr. Dickerson, thank you. Aaron, thank you. Gosh, you guys, I say this often, but I really mean this. I value people's time. You can do anything with your time. There's so many things that are pulling for our attention that if you took the time to sit with us for an hour and 3 minutes, I appreciate you and I thank you. And I don't take that for granted that you felt that this was worth your time. So you guys have a great evening. And Lady P and I are signing off until next Wednesday. We got another amazing guest. So keep checking us out. It's They Say every Wednesday at 5 p.m. unless I have a special guest that needs a special time. All right, guys, have a great evening. And thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you.